Welcome back to our series, Overcoming the Spirit of Jezebel. This is Jason Sciscoe with Triumph Ministries International Network. We are doing an online exclusive for those of you that are tuning in online at triumphtoday.org. For those of you that are watching by DVD, welcome back to our exciting series. Now, we are going to lesson 5, and this is where we get into the good part. Breaking Jezebel's power, and this is part 1. The first thing that we must do to break Jezebel's power is to deal with the person that let Jezebel in the first place. Before we deal with Jezebel, we must, number 1, confront Ahab. When God raised up an answer to the pagan agenda that had been advanced in the kingdom of Israel, God sent Elijah. The first thing that Elijah did was confront Ahab. He did not start with Jezebel. He started with Ahab. And so we must see the support system that Jezebel is using to do her manipulations. Remember, she only has as much influence as the people that she's connected with. So we must deal with the people that she's getting her power from first before we actually deal with her. So Ahab is also a spirit. Ahab also has his counterpart. Just as you see in the New Testament with the spirit of Elijah, there was also Herod and Herodias and Salome. And so Herodias did not like John the Baptist, who's walking in the spirit of Elijah. And she has Salome dance. And she uses the weakness of the king to get her agenda accomplished, which is kill John the Baptist. But again, the issue here, when John confronted the problem, he started by confronting Herod. What's Herod operating in? Herod's operating in the spirit of Ahab. What's Herodias operating in? Spirit of Jezebel. Okay? So when you see the spirit of Elijah, it's there confronting the same issues as were in the Old Testament. And as we have to operate in the spirit of Elijah in confronting with this, and then later on the spirit of Elisha, in which that's the time in which she's destroyed through Jehu, we will see that we have to confront the issues of weakness in authority. So what is the spirit of Ahab? Ahab is the spirit that tolerates Jezebel and protects her. Because he invited her in, he is the one that protects her. Letter B, Ahab is weak. Whatever influences that he happens to be around is what he reflects. When he's around Elijah, he's like Elijah. Arise, eat and drink, there's a sound of abundance of rain. He does whatever Elijah says. Go on back down to Jezreel, he gets in his chariot and he goes right back down to Jezreel. But when he goes back home, guess what happens? Jezebel begins to talk to him. Oh, I don't know why he did that. I can't explain those prophets dead. I mean, what was I supposed to do? Stop the man from calling down fire from heaven? I mean, who do you think I am? God? I know I'm the king, but have you seen Elijah? Jezebel says, I'll handle this. The bottom line is, Ahab has no real core values either. He only does what makes everyone like him. He wants to please everybody. So whatever room he's in, he's going to be like those people in that room. That's the spirit of Ahab, revolving door. Letter C, because Jezebel and Ahab are living an illusion, the only thing that gets the king's attention is the famine. No water is a reality check. So the confrontation here begins by breaking the illusion that Jezebel and Ahab are living under. The illusion that it's okay to be married, it's okay to have different gods, it's okay for Ahab to have a history of serving Jehovah and be married to a woman that serves other gods. It's fine as long as we want to do this for political reasons, as long as it's for the good of the people. He thinks it's best in the long run, totally fine, lives under illusion. Ahab, you have got to have some reality Here's a good dose of it. How about no more rain? So this is the confrontation of Ahab. Letter D, Elijah prophesies judgment. When Elijah prophesies judgment, Elijah is then blamed for the famine. Ahab refuses to own his own sin. So in the confronting of the spirit of Ahab, we see that the judgment only exacerbates the problem, and it makes them come after Elijah to try to destroy Elijah. They think if they can kill Elijah, that it will reverse a curse of some kind that he has put over the land. They don't think of this as God's judgment, demanding this to bring repentance, and then their lives will turn around, and then God will cause there to rain to come. No, this is the fault of the prophets. So let's destroy the prophets, and this will solve our problems. He literally calls Elijah his enemy. But Elijah was not afraid of the king. He kept on going forward. He kept on going further. Letter E, Mount Carmel exposed the deception of the false prophets in the confrontation again of Ahab and his whole system. He brings them to Mount Carmel and exposes the deception of the false prophets and brought people back to their knees in worship of Yahweh when he calls down fire from heaven. Now the people return to a current revelation of God instead of antiquated tradition. Since the establishment of the northern kingdom, they were operating under the sins of Jeroboam, which taught them to sin, in which they worshiped God, but they worshiped golden calves. They worshiped Jehovah, but they worshiped in Beersheba, and then they worshiped in Bethel, and they said, don't go down to Jerusalem. So the people were worshiping God, but they were worshiping it in a traditional, flawed system. These are the sins of Jeroboam. Not until Elijah came and showed them fire from heaven, a real God that answers prayer right here that we worship. That was when they had current revelation, and it started delivering them from the corruption of Ahab and all of the paganism and the agenda that they had released into that nation through Jezebel. Letter F, Elijah won the day and sent Ahab back to the palace to set things in order. He failed to set things in order and thus revealed who was in control of the palace. But when Elijah sent him off that mountain, he was sending him off to go home and put things back the way they're supposed to be. What Elijah fully expected to happen was, you saw the fire, I brought a direct word from God. These prophets failed. They did it all day long, could not produce any fire. The nation now wants Jehovah God back. They're all worshiping on their face. Now you're the